Hello. We are still on our vegetable discussion, and today we are looking at a very interesting sector. This is no other than onion farming and spring onion farming. We still have on our guest from the previous episode. Do stay tuned as we look at this interesting venture. You're welcome once again to Agri-Connect.
Thank you.
And today we are going to take us through onion and spring onion farming in Ghana. Realize that I think sometime this year, because of the Niger coup, onions became a scarce commodity in this country, very, very expensive. How are you contributing to ensuring that we produce what we need in this country?
Onions are one of the common vegetables that are used in our dishes in the house. A Ghanaian cannot cook without onions. Yes, so I always say that if our government can be serious, I'm not saying they are not serious.
Okay, disclaimer.
Yeah. But if they can be serious and focus on the agricultural sector, I don't think Ghana will go to any country to borrow. Especially when you focus even only in the northern sector, we can produce onion to feed the whole country and probably export. Because Boko is known for one of the for production of onions, especially the red onions you see in the market. Most of them are from those places. And then in Ghana, even in the 60 regions, I think Volta also grows vegetable onions. Part of Ashanti region is into onion production, and then part of Western and Central are also into onions, and then part of Greater Accra. Okay. So directly or indirectly, all the 16 regions we can grow or have onions on them. So if we are able to invest in serious irrigation systems like the Burkinabes and then the Nigerians are doing, we can produce onions from January to December. And then that of the onion scarcity that happened because of the Niger field wouldn't be there again. We would even be exporting to other countries as well. For my part, I'm doing just small production, and this one cannot even feed 100 people because of land issues. Yes, so we are doing just about 1 meter by 12 meter bed, which is nothing. But at least we are also contributing something.
Of course.
Yes, so I know that with enough land, with enough irrigation systems, and then with enough sponsorship, we can produce enough to feed Mother Ghana.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Each agricultural venture requires special practices to ensure that you reap your optimum. And so what are some of the best practices that one should consider if they are thinking of venturing into, or those already in it and might not be cashing out as they should? So some of the best practices to consider when it comes to
so in onion production, usually you as a farmer should ask, does my consumers want spring onion or they want the bulb onion? Does the consumer want the onion together with the leaves, or they want it only with the bulbs? So if it is for only the bulbs, then you grow it, allow the bulbs, the leaves to dry, you harvest, and then you dry them and package it for those consumers. And those that want it together with the leaves, you find your ways and means to also harvest it, package it with the leaves, and then supply. With those ones, you need to get your market ready. You cannot harvest and go and put it in the market and be waiting for people to come and buy. If not, the leaves will shrink or wilter, and then at the end of the day, you are going to make losses from that. But that notwithstanding, you can still use the tuber as well. So you should understand whom you are going to supply your produce to, how they want it, and when they want it.
Okay.
And then if you are doing spring onion, we have the local and then we have the hybrids.
Okay.
So are you interested in the local one, or you are going to, like your customers, are they interested in the local one or they want the hybrid one? So if they want the hybrid one, then you go in for the hybrid. Those that are going to give you big bulbs, and then we have the ones that gives you the smaller bulbs like the shallot and etc. So you factor in the ones that your consumers want, then you go in for that. The spring onion, for instance, for us, we go in for both the hybrid and then that of the local. The local, we buy it from the farmers on the farm, and then we call it the vegetative propagation. So you pick those ones from them and come and replant it. So like this, you buy this one from them. So you come and then you separate them into maybe 4 or 3, you replant them. They come back. So those are some of the ways. And then for the seeds, you go and buy it and then come and nurse it. So either drills or broadcasting. And then when it is 1 month, 2 weeks old, you transplant them and wait for another 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
So that's about 4 months.
4 months.
Before your produce are ready for the market.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said it takes within 4 months you'll be able to harvest.
For spring onion, maximum 1.5 to 2.5 months you should be clearing them. But the bulb onion is around 2 to 4 months.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now you mentioned earlier that there are two varieties, the local and the hybrid. So which one sells better?
It depends on your market, like I mentioned. Maybe your market wants big bulbs. So for that one, you may go in for variety that are giving big bulbs. So you may consider the hybrid because the local one doesn't usually give us the big bulbs. Yes, and then for the spring onion too, the hybrid has more. The leaves are quite bigger than this one. But that one, it easily breaks as compared to this one. These ones are more flexible than that one. So people, especially the market women, prefer the local one to the hybrid. But if you are doing it for the hotels or the fast food vendors, you may consider the hybrid ones because with that one, with some small cuttings, you have plenty.
Yes. Okay, all right. So now let's look at the spacing. I can tell that there are some spacing in between the onion, the how do you call this? The leaves.
The leaves. The spring onions.
Yes, there are some spaces between the spring onions, the leaves that are popping out. So how are the spacings calculated?
So ideally, we are doing 50 centimeters, but the intra row usually are not measured.
Okay.
So, but it is around 0.5 centimeters there. It is not measured, so I can't give you an accurate distance. But for the inter row, it is usually 40 to 50 centimeters. So that you can easily work in them. And we also do them in lines. We don't do them haphazardly. We don't do them randomly. Because if you are picking weeds in them and you have to loosen the soil, if you do them random, you will suffer when working in them. Yes. In the space in both the spring onion and then the bulb onion, I use the same spacing. The inter is more important, but the intra can be closer. Depending on how you, the farmer, want it. But most farmers prefer to do it the randomized way. They don't do any lines, which usually working in them becomes very tedious. And with that, you can also work your profits, or you can calculate the amount of money you get. Maybe I know if I pick one line, it's giving me 1 kilo. So if I have 60 lines, multiply by the number of drills, you know how much you are going to make.
So you are likely to get. Okay, exactly. So now talking about how much you are likely to get. Let's look at, so when we take a plot like this, how much will I need to plant something like this?
Yeah, so maximum, a plot like this one is 1.2 meters by 12 meters. So 1.2 meters by 12 meters, we bought a spring onion seedlings worth, I think, 80 cedis. Yeah. So with this, I'm anticipating about no less than 60 packs. So 60 each goes for 10 cedis, so that's about 600 cedis.
600 cedis with 80 cedis. But there are a lot of things that happen. Remember, there is other things.
So like labor to pick weeds, fertilizer, other fungicide, and etc. Putting all of them together.
Okay.
I'm not doing the cost.
Okay, all right. So now let's look at when these fungicides and weedicides should be applied. You realize that it's been discovered that consumption of vegetables and fruit sometimes even cause more harm to us than like being without them. Very especially true. When these things are not applied at the time where you are not to consume. Most people apply, and then when it's ready for table, they apply, quickly put it on the market, people consume and then resist.
All right, so like you saying, when to apply these things, especially when you see the first symptoms of maybe fungal disease on the crop, you can begin your application. But last year, this year for instance, we had problem with onion leaf tip blight, which affected most of the onions that we grew here. We did about 4 long bears, which is about 1.2 by 50 meters. We didn't pick a single tuber from it because the whole field was infested and they couldn't tuber. So with that, you have to apply a lot of fungicide, especially fungicide that has carbendazine as active ingredient or has sulfur active ingredient. So with that, you are able to minimize. And others also do apply neem oil. Neem oil have both fungi and insecticide. So that one also has the tendency to also suppress or minimize the proliferation of these diseases on the field. But for spring onions, usually the local one, I've never sprayed it before. It is usually the bulb ones that we have these problems in them. So it's those ones that we spray. And like you mentioned, the pesticides usage, usually farmers abuse the pesticide. Every pesticide have what we have PHI, or what we call the withdrawal period. So when you read on the label, some have 3 days, some have up to 14, 21, and etc., depending on the products that you buy. So if you understand these things, you wouldn't kill yourself and kill the consumer. And many diseases are now in the system due to wrong usage of these pesticides, and then harvesting the produce at the wrong time. Yes, so I think our farmers should be educated.
So let's say I want to venture into onion farming. I have no idea. What are some of the tips you can give me so that I'm well versed? I have an idea before I start.
Yeah, so you should have a good source of water supply on the farm, because onion needs a lot of water to thrive well. So you should have a good source of water on the farm. And then number 2, your soil should be well aerated. I mean, when I say well aerated, when you water, the water shouldn't be collected on the surface of it. You should be able to drain well. And then number 3, when you are working, you should understand that either you are going to apply manure or you are going to deal with only synthetic fertilizer. But combination of the two is always perfect. Yes, so if it is manure, then you should know the source that you are going to buy these organic products from. And then you should also understand the market. Where are you selling your product? Is it to individual customers? Is it to the market women? Or it is to the restaurant or the hotels or the food vendors? You should know these things or have it at the back of your mind before you venture into these particular things. But nowadays, I think venturing into vegetables is not going to be something that you do and make losses, because ideally vegetables are now expensive. So when you do it well, you get a market.
And people are even now health conscious.
Exactly.
Want to consume
Especially they want to know where their product is coming from.
Okay, all right. Yes. So now let's look at some of the challenges. You mentioned earlier about an infestation on your field where you lost everything. Yes. What are some of the challenges because people sometimes look at the profitability and escape the challenges. So what should one?
Yeah, so the challenge, like I mentioned, the onion thief blight, which is one of the problems that farmers really faces, especially when it has to do with the bulb onions. So you should research on your fungicide that you can use to manage these diseases. And then sometimes for the spring onion, when you are doing the local one, sometimes it's extremely difficult getting the propagating material or the propago. For almost 2 months now, I've been trying to get the seedlings, but I'm not getting. So usually I have to harvest and then replant. I have to wait and replant again. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing. The price you can buy today at 350 cedis per bag. You call tomorrow and it is 450 cedis. So the price variability is also one of the biggest challenges. As of the beginning of this year, we're buying the bag around 250 cedis.
And now?
When I called yesterday, it was around 620 cedis.
Wow.
We have not ended the year. So by December, it should be around 1,000. Yes, so now prices are really escalating when it comes to agricultural input, from seed to fertilizers to insecticides. Everything is shooting up.
Okay, all right. So now, will you say this is you've given the pricing, or even the profits to expect? Yeah. However, there are lots to consider when it comes to the input. Sure. Yes. So will you say this is a profitable venture?
It's a very profitable venture. Yes. So with the computation I made, you wouldn't make losses.
Losses if done well.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So now, your final words to individuals who might be interested, or after listening to you, might say, oh, I want to start maybe onion farming, or those already in it and struggling?
Yeah, so my message to people who are already in the onion business is that we should understand that farming is a business. So when you are doing it, have at the back of your mind that you are not just doing farming, you are doing business.
Business.
So the business that you are venturing into, remember you are investing capital, your money is going into it. So ways and means that you have to get your money back. Look for the right markets, look for the right seed, and then when you finish, try as much as possible to market your product on your own, because usually when you have third parties involved, your profit also goes to the third parties. So if you can market your product on your own, it is always perfect. But if you can't do that and you have people that will come and pick it directly from you, I think it will be good. But you should always do your cost benefit analysis. You should know your production cost before you price your product, and that you wouldn't make any losses. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. You really cannot watch Agri-Connect and not be motivated to start or venture into agribusiness. Agribusiness has the potential to employ as many people as are willing to venture into it. My name is Nana Etimambas, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Do stay tuned on Agri-Connect for more content.